Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Alyeska Pipeline Service Company, sustaining Alaska's pipeline and its operations today and into the future.
The National Weather Service.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us here for Friday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service. I'll be hosting the show. On the, tonight's hazardous weather, actually this is a watch out for tomorrow afternoon through late tomorrow night for the Susitna Valley, and that's for fire danger, looking for some northerly winds to possibly pick up 10 to 20 miles per hour tomorrow afternoon and into tomorrow night. And the strongest winds would be over the northern Susitna Valley, so that kind of will boost the fire danger up across that area. And breakup chart, now the Colville, Sag, and Kaparik rivers all have some open all the way out to the coastline there. And this will be the last day that we'll use this chart, so another breakup season is come and gone. On the fire danger today, northern Cook Inlet into the Kenai Peninsula, where this afternoon temperatures rose into the mid-70s, and kind of the eastern Copper River Basin here, and then another patch up mostly over the upper Yukon Valley. And again, tomorrow afternoon, if the winds pick up, they'll probably spread in over the Susitna Valley as well. And then for the satellite imagery here, starting out on the visual, a lot of clear skies you can see here over the Gulf of Alaska. Some lower stuff up close to the coast earlier on, kind of retreating throughout the afternoon, extending down to near and just west or east of Kodiak Island. Lots of clear skies out here from Bristol Bay up just about all the way up to the St. Lawrence Island area during the afternoon, as offshore flow kind of nudged that cloud bank farther to the west. Looking really good up over the Seward Peninsula and Norton Sound. Then you pick up a few clouds there over Kotzebue Sound and on up to the northwest. But you can see the more cloudy skies here over the eastern interior as area moisture began to trigger some scattered shower activity, mostly up over the northeast interior. And then kind of a contrast here over the Panhandle, down to the south, cloudy and wetter conditions to mostly sunny with more offshore flow up over the northern Panhandle. And let's see, you can see as that progresses, the clouds hanging up here over the northern interior. This patch right here, mostly just mid and high level clouds as the flow came across the Alaska Range there and enhanced it, and that dropped on down into northern Cook Inlet this afternoon. Otherwise, block clouds over the Alaska Peninsula and the outer cloud shield of the next front approaching the far western Aleutians. Actually just a trough out there now. Low pressure well out to the west, and light wind flow, again, northeast 5 to 15 here from the central interior on down to the southwest across the deltas, but a little brisker there. Gusts of 25 miles an hour at Bethel. Tooksuk Bay up to 30 miles per hour. Otherwise, morning low clouds and fog. Kodiak kind of burned off during the afternoon hours. Some of that still lingering up here along the western North Gulf Coast, but mostly offshore. Some scattered showers and possibly some isolated thunderstorms up over the northeast in conjunction with that area of moisture there, and a little bit of light rain or snow going on mainly on the eastern Arctic coast. And then general rain area down here over the southern Panhandle, where amounts today range from anywhere from 1/10 to 1/3 of an inch of rainfall, and then that's scattered out to some clearing up to the north. Very nice day again along the North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound areas up across much of the Copper River Basin. And on the forecast for tonight, still have some lingering showers up here over the east and northeast part of the state, mostly over toward the border. And also showers continue for the southern southeast coast and are kind of building and increasing up here to the north and northeast. Again, low clouds and fog possibly up to the coastline there and along Kodiak Island, but seeing mostly to the south and off the southern coast, or off the coast here of the southeast coast. And up in the Bering Strait, low clouds and fog from the Chukchi Basin through the Bering Strait on down to St. Lawrence Island. And again, near the Pribilofs, otherwise mostly cloudy with just a risk of some showers for the Alaska Peninsula, light south to southeast winds, and a little more general area of precipitation of rain or drizzle, along with some fog there for the eastern Aleutians out to just about Atka, dry, and then there's the next front pushing an increasing chance of rain and a little bit more wind there into the western Aleutians. Otherwise high pressure off the Arctic coast there, patchy fog on the east side, and better flying conditions off to the east. And moving into tomorrow's forecast for Saturday, again, kind of a thermal trough right through this area here. So depending on that axis, could see some early in the day, again, low clouds, patchy fog pressing up toward Prince William Sound and along the coast, maybe up into southern Cook Inlet, but more likely here down across Kodiak Island and across the Gulf there. And thunderstorm chances a little better now over the central and southern southeast coast. Staying mostly dry, but increasing shower chances, definitely a few more clouds, but the showers mostly in Canada and possibly Skagway into the southeast interior. Possible thunderstorms here over the northeastern or the eastern Alaska range up into the upper Tanana Valley, and maybe some showers around Eagle. And that front brings some, well, not quite small craft advisory winds with some rain into the western areas. This low keeping it cloudy and occasionally damp there for the eastern Aleutians back over toward Atka. And again, cloudy skies, isolated scattered showers for the peninsula. And then for Sunday's forecast, a little bit stronger system now coming onto the scene there southwest of the Aleutians here. So look for small craft advisories here for the central western Aleutians with increasing chances of rain and fog in that area also. Otherwise, not much change here, still mostly cloudy. Winds relatively light there for the Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians, risk of a shower. And again, looks like a lot of IFR here in the Bering Sea, probably extending all the way up to St. Lawrence Island. Surface high making for some light winds in that area, although northerlies picking up to about 20 knots there for St. Lawrence Island on Sunday. Low clouds and fog, light winds for the Chukchi Sea. Really no change on the Arctic coast except those winds picking up. Probably looking at 25 knots for those marine zones for the central and east side, possibly the west side, but lighter down through this area. And again, possible northeast winds picking up actually tomorrow afternoon, as I mentioned, for the Susitna Valley. But look for more clouds and shower conditions along with cooler temperatures here over all of the southeast interior from the North Gulf Coast up into the upper Tanana Valley up to Eagle. And mostly cloudy showers here for the southeast coast, and possibility of some showers developing over the Kenai Peninsula, southern Kenai Peninsula in the afternoon, as well as Kodiak Island, and a pretty good chance of some thunderstorms being triggered here over the southern Alaska range down into the Aleutian Mountains. There is this low comes back into that area there, and the warmer air starts to pull off to the west. So with a little bit higher pressure off the coast here, that'll start drawing in some of that cooler marine air, especially into south central Alaska throughout the day. But right now, the sea breeze winds don't look like they'll be all that strong, except that pattern will continue through Sunday night and into Monday. And pushing on to the temperatures today, again with all the clouds and rain here in the south, lower to mid 50s for the temperatures, but Port Alexander did push up to 62. More sunshine up into the upper 60s there for the northern panhandle over to about Yakutat, and 66 in Valdez, as well as up at Gulkana. 60s to mid 70s here, south central Alaska, the Kenai Peninsula, lower to mid 70s. These are early to mid-afternoon temperatures here. And then back into the clouds there north of the mountains, they're looking at 50s with a little bit cooler, not much. Brooks Range in the 40s. North Slope 40s to lower 50s, Arctic Coast mid 30s to near 40. And for the northwest, upper 30s to near 50, 55 at Ambler, while McGrath had 63, with 70s though from Sleet Mute on down across the southwestern areas, with Tooksuk Bay at 70, 52 at Macoriac, Unalakleet 54, 59 over at Amonic, and St. Mary's 72. Mid-40s here for the Pribilofs, upper 30s around the St. Lawrence Island area, and upper 40s to mid-50s here for the Alaska Peninsula, 40s out to the west. And for the forecast lows for tonight, pretty mild here, upper 40s to mid-50s over the southwest interior, 20s along the central and eastern Arctic coast, 30s to the south, 40s south of the Brooks Range, all the way down into south central Alaska, 40s also for the Panhandle. Highs tomorrow, very nice, upper 60s to mid-70s here over a big portion of the southwest interior, up into toward at least the western Tanana Valley and back across the Noatak, with again 50s north slope, cooler but above freezing there for the eastern Arctic coast, and 50s to maybe mid-60s there for the Panhandle. For the flying weather tomorrow morning, looks like good VFR in the forecast here from the North Gulf Coast all the way up to the North Slope. Then you pick up the marginal VFR with areas of IFR over the eastern Arctic coast, VFR back to the west, staying VFR here along the coast and even offshore, including Nunivak Island, St. Lawrence Island kind of on the edge there, and then marginal and IFR over a widespread area of the Bering Sea on down into the Aleutians. And pushing ahead to tomorrow afternoon, that area increases and presses a little closer to the coastline here, but the marginal stuff from St. Lawrence Island down to Nunivak Island and Cape Newenham there, again, that's staying off the coast, and then kind of a variable condition there for the Alaska Peninsula. And VFR here, North Gulf Coast again, Prince William Sound, all the way up to the north, where just marginal VFR now shows up over the eastern Arctic coast, and also in the clouds and showers down here over the southern Panhandle. Passes shaping up like this for Saturday, Anaktuvuk VFR, and same forecast for Adigan, good VFR in either approach. Lake Clark and Merrill, wide open, no problems for Rainy. Windy remains open, as well as Isabel. Mentasta looks good, and Tanita as well. Portage VFR, and for Chilkoot and White, VFR conditions there. And the freezing levels here shows 10,000 feet as that upper level high begins to pull back to the northwest a little bit there, and then dropping to 4,000 feet over the eastern Aleutians and the Alaska Peninsula. Some cooler air nudging southward into the eastern Arctic coast at about 2,000 feet, and a little cooler conditions here over the eastern interior, and with that cold upper low, 4,000 feet over mostly the southern southeast coast. And from there, looking at icing, maybe above 5,000 feet, possible areas of icing there for the eastern Aleutians on out toward Atka, and some icing threats here also for the eastern Tanana Valley down to the eastern Alaska Range, and then just areas of mixed icing here across the southeast coast. Most of that over in Canada up here to the north and west, but some of that showing up over the central Panhandle. As far as the upper level wind flow chart goes, there's that huge area of upper high pressure, southeast winds across the Bering Sea, 90 to 100 knots, and then northerlies tomorrow coming down up to 90 knots right down to the coast there. So that supports increase in the winds that are possible there for the Susitna Valley. And for 9,000 feet, low pressure over western Canada, but very light northwest breezes there for the Panhandle. Light and variable over southern Alaska, northeast 15 to 20 knots up to the northeast, southeast 15 to 25 knots along the southwest coast here, Alaska Peninsula and the eastern Bering Sea, turning more southwesterly out to the west, and light winds up north. 3,000 feet, could kick up to 20 knots here in areas of the Arctic coast. Same pattern here. Eastern Bering Sea, 10 to 25 knots at times, 30 knots so for the western Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians, 15 to 30 knots out over the western and central areas, and light northwesterlies for the southeast coast. Turbulence-wise, not much, maybe for the central Arctic coast and along the lee side of the eastern Brooks Range here, and then possibly light to isolated moderates below 4,000 Alaska Peninsula falls pass on out to Nikolsky and maybe a little bit out over the western Aleutians, but nothing significant at all. And after the break of Hangar Flying, I'll be back with the marine forecasts.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary O'Connor, and I'm with the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation. Thanks to the support of the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health and Alaska Public Media for allowing us to bring you Hangar Flying. This evening, we are pleased to have Allie Berend back on our show. Allie is an aircraft dispatcher with a commercial aviation company that is based in Anchorage. Allie, welcome back to Hangar Flying.
Hi, thanks.
So on our last episode, we talked about some of the things that you do in your job, and it sounds perfect for somebody who's responsible, smart, and who likes to be in control somewhat. And we talked about how dispatching is kind of the hidden secret of the aviation industry and some of the benefits that a dispatcher might have with the company. So can you tell us what some of the benefits are?
Well, it is a great job to begin with. It's challenging and exciting. It's different. You're never going to be bored. But a lot of the perks are, you get all the same pilot perks. You get to, there's jump seating. Most companies have, they're in the CAS system, so you can go jump seating on all the airlines in the United States, fly all over the world. There's also non-rev benefits. You can get your friends and family on some flights. But traveling, if you love to travel, this job's great for that. We work 4 10-hour shifts a week, so you get 3-day weekends, because we have duty day limitations like pilots as well. So you're not going to be, working all the time. But yeah, it's just a general, all-around good place to work, job to do.
And we were talking about your day today, and we were commenting on how you never know what to expect. Every day you go into the office, it's something different.
Mm-hmm. I used to check the weather when I was drinking my coffee in the morning before work or eating breakfast, and I had to stop because if the weather was bad, then I'm like, no, I don't want to go to work. But yeah, so it is a surprise now every time I walk into the office. There can be maintenance issues, there can be weather issues, or everything can go as planned, and it's just it runs like a smooth operating machine. But yeah, there's always something different, always never the same issue 2 days in a row.
It doesn't get boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. So what career advice would you give to somebody who is thinking about a career in aviation or as a dispatcher, but maybe they're not really sure about how to get involved or what it might entail? What kind of career advice could you give them?
Just any interest in aviation really at all is the starting point. If you want to get your foot in the door, even if you, it's like if you wanted to go work at an airline somewhere, start in customer service, work in reservations, and like we have an SOC department. They do aircraft scheduling and crew scheduling and stuff like that.
SOC stands for?
That's the System Operations Center.
Okay.
So they kind of run the airplanes. They tell them where to go and when, and then we do all the flight planning for those airplanes. But it's if you just start there, that's a great place because you get to see how the airline operates, and then you can move into dispatch later if you decide that's aviation is what you want to do. And it is a lot of weather is science and math, so you need to get into that quite a bit. Be a pilot. Like that would get you started for sure.
But you're not a pilot, so you don't have to be a pilot. That's not a requirement to be a dispatcher.
No, yeah, you do not need to be a pilot, but it is a nice kind of, they coincide so well that if you do one, you can do the other. So I'm looking to hopefully start doing some flying myself.
Oh, good. Yeah, you've got a lot of the background covered already. So very good. You'll have a head start. So what kind of characteristics in a person make a good dispatcher?
Someone who's really level-headed, cool personality. You have to be able to take on a lot of stress. There's usually, the difference between being a pilot and a dispatcher is that you're handling 10 to 20 flights at one time. You have to know where every airplane is at any given time, where it's going, when it's going to get there. Any of the situations that are going on at the departure airport, their arrival airport, their alternate airport, all of that stuff you need to be able to juggle at once. As for a pilot, they're in their one airplane and they're one destination, and they have a little bit less outside influence to focus on. But at any given time, the phones are going to be ringing off the hook, the radio is going to be ringing, so you need to be able to multitask and handle stress. And then if somebody comes in and asks you to do something else, just keep a cool head. If you get in a discussion or a disagreement with a crew member or something, you need to be able to work that out. And also just keep safety and regulation and everything all under your belt at the same time.
So calm, collected. You have to have a science mind because there's a lot of weather and math and physics in that, as well as being a people person and being able to work with crews and coworkers. So it sounds tough.
Yeah, dispatch is the hub. So we work with the crews, we work with the SOC department, we work with our operations department. They do the weight and balance stuff and the loading of the airplanes. We work with maintenance. Everything goes through us. So you have to work with almost every department in the company. And so, yeah, being a people person helps.
Well, thank you, Allie. We enjoyed having you on the show and learning a bit about what you do and how dispatchers work in commercial aviation. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you've learned a little bit about some of the jobs and the people that work to keep aviation safe in Alaska. Thank you for watching Hangar Flying, and until next time, fly safely.
Welcome back. Well, on the ice chart here, we're about out of ice south of the Bering Strait here. You can see those some lingering northeast and east of St. Lawrence Island, and also along the coast, and then that stuff way back to the west. Things thinning out also here on north into the Chukchi Basin. Some of the shorefast forecast to possibly break off and move off the coast over the next several days, and otherwise this will all continue to do a slow dissolve into the middle of next week. And for the southeast coast, inside waters, Clarence Strait, northeast 10 tomorrow, south 15 for Stevens Passage. Northerlies starting out at about 20 knots there for northern Lynn Canal. North to northwest, just 10 to 15 knots, and light westerly breezes here for the south coast with just 4 to 5 foot seas. And then for Sunday, a little bit brisker, but not much, 15 knots from the west here, and then more of a west-northwest breeze at 10 knots for the north coast. Lynn Canal, south 15, that extends down across Frederick Sound, Stevens Passage, and Clarence Strait, very light southeasterly winds. And for the North Gulf Coast, light variable conditions again tomorrow in the forecast right down across the Barren Islands, up into Kamishak Bay and northward across Cook Inlet, variable to maybe west there for Prince William Sound, and southwest or west-southwest light for Kodiak Island. Then look for southwesterlies at about 15 here for Shelikof Strait, turning westerly 10 to 15 knots for the Kamishak Bay, Barren Islands area, and then still pretty light and variable here for the North Gulf Coast, 10 to 15, and northerlies at 10 for Prince William Sound, north to northeast at 15 for Cook Inlet. For Bristol Bay, light southwesterlies tomorrow, seas just 2 feet, southeast 15 here for the peninsula with 3 foot seas, and light variable conditions Castle Cape over to Sitkinak with seas just 4 to 6 feet. And then for Sunday, light variable winds here for both sides of the peninsula with 3 to 5 foot seas, southwest 14, up closer to Kodiak, and Bristol Bay, light west winds, but up to 15 knots with 3 foot seas. And out over the Aleutians, mostly southeast at about 20 here for the Fox Islands, especially Unalaska Island, and then getting kind of variable and lighter westerly, 10 knots for the Adak-Atka area, and then southerlies at 20, increased to 25 knots out over the far western zone. Then for Sunday, southeast winds at 25 from just west of Adak all the way out to Shimia. Southeasterlies at 20 knots, diminished to about 15 for the Fox Islands. And for the southwest coast, southeast 10 to 15 tomorrow. Easterlies at about 20 for St. Lawrence Island with 4 foot seas. Otherwise, northern Bering Sea, St. Matthew Island, down across the Pribilof, southeast at 15 with 4 to 5 foot seas. And for the Sunday outlook, we've got southeast continuing at 15 for the Pribilofs, easterly winds there for St. Matthew Island at 15. Now northerlies for St. Lawrence Island, pick up to about 20 knots there on down to Nunivak Island. South of the island, though, on into Kuskokwim Bay, west at 15, but seas pretty slight at 3 feet. And for the Arctic coast on the east side, easterlies 20 knots, 4-foot seas. Southeast for the central coast, and then easterlies here on the west side all the way down to the Bering Strait at about 15 knots. And then for Sunday, east to southeast pretty light here from Wales up to Cape Beaufort, and then small craft advisories for the west side to the central coast for southeast winds at 25, east side east winds 25 knots all the way to the east. And for tonight, again, a lot of clear to fair skies with generally light winds here, still a little breezy here across the southwest areas, but those may diminish. Low clouds and fog tending to increase along the North Gulf Coast, but should stay off the coast except for maybe the Kenai Peninsula on down to Kodiak Island. Low pressure, clouds, some showers over the southern panhandle, and lingering showers and a few more clouds there north of the Alaska Range across the eastern interior. And some rain possible out here over the eastern Aleutians, and then with that front pushing into the far west, which tomorrow will advance a little bit to the east there. And this low keeps it damp and showery over the Aleutians there, eastern Aleutians. High pressure off the coast, increasing low clouds and fog. Another sunny, warm day over the interior. Chance of thunderstorms here, both over the eastern Tanana Valley area, North Waitok, and also over the central and southern southeast coast, which on Sunday, this low pressure area here could trigger some thunderstorms from the southern Alaska Range on down into the Aleutians. Otherwise, pretty fair up over the interior, cloudy with showers, especially eastern interior, on down across the southeast coast with isolated thunderstorms. And that's a look at the weather. Have a great weekend.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.